Welcome back to the Let's Learn Angular series where I record myself learning Angular in real time. It's kind of like a live stream, only I'm not distracted by a bunch of comments on the screen, but learning in real time is hopefully helpful to you watching me struggle and think things through and experiment, or at the very least, it's entertaining. Now, here's the thing though. I just recorded what was supposed to be episode 9, and when I went to review the video, what you see on the screen now is VS Code. What is in the video looks like this. Yeah, so I have to start over. And I'm just gonna record myself doing that. And basically I need to go back through my Git history, and this is why you commit often, ladies and gentlemen. Because now I can git log and see all these things or stuff that I did that you were supposed to see happen, and you're never gonna see it. That whole video is just lost because, yeah, you can't see my code editor. So I'm going to go back through these commits and just try to figure out which one. Let's see, what day is it today? It's September the 9th. And for whatever reason, my Git history seems to think that it's September the 8th. Because of time zones and stuff, right? So I should be looking at that one, add dashboard link, add dashboard and default routes, update dashboard component with code from tutorial. I believe that this is the last commit, because basically the situation was at the beginning of the video when I recorded it, I had some uncommitted stuff from, oh wait, no, that one says September 6th. So I did do that one. This is the one that I did right at the beginning of the video. So I actually want to go back to here and do that. I'm just gonna check that out. And see, so I do have uncommitted changes here, which the name of that isn't gonna matter too much. So we'll just say whip. And then I will check out this hash here. And what I want to do is, I want to fix the resolution on this screen actually. Man, I'm just killing it today. So normally I blow up everything to be actually like this. So that hopefully for everybody watching at home, you never struggle to read anything. So I checked out the commit from what should have been the last commit in the last video that you watched. And I just want to make sure that this is where we should have left off. So if I should be running this server, I am running the server. And if I go back into Chrome and I go to our Tour Heroes app, and I close these tabs here, we should have a heroes list, right? There should be, I thought there was supposed to be a dashboard link, so maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't check out the right commit. Let's go back here. Also, I'm gonna change this to green and this one to, let's go cyan this time. All right, so back here, we're gonna go back, git checkout. Oh yeah, by the way, I always use these aliases and I forget, and it already does. GCO just means git checkout, and with git, if you do dash, it just takes you back to the last place that you were. So I'm gonna do a GLG, which actually is just git log, more or less. If I scroll down, let's see, add dashboard link, I think is technically the commit that I want to get back into the right place. So let's go here, heroes dashboard, and yeah, so everything, this is where we left off. Sorry about that. All right, so I know that's the commit that I want, so I can, I'm just gonna get back into a not detached head state. I'm just gonna do a git reset hard on that hash, and hopefully this goes well, because I did not back this up to GitHub. If this doesn't go well, that's okay. We'll just figure it out. Worst case scenario, there's always git reflog anyway. So if we go back in here, we go to here, we left off in the last video. We were about to add, no, we did add the dashboard view, right? So we were doing this one, navigating to hero details. All right, so consider this the beginning of the episode. Thanks for working through that with me. Just so frustrated right now. Record a whole video and it's 100% useless. Okay, so I double checked all the screens. You should be able to see them. I'm just gonna switch over into Notion, and see, Notion's not actually working right now. But if I go here and then I go to here, now you should be able to see Notion. So you can see Notion, you can see the browser, you can see VS Code. Okay, we can begin. Navigating to hero details. So the hero detail component displays details of a selected hero. At the moment of the hero detail component is only visible at the bottom of the hero's component. So the user should be able to get to these details in 3 ways: by clicking a hero in the dashboard, so that's right here, by clicking a hero in the heroes list, which is here, and by pasting a quote-unquote deep link URL into the browser address bar that identifies the hero to display. And by that, they just mean, like, if you were to go in here and go details slash, some number, it should take you to the hero with ID 11, which doesn't work right now, but it will later. So in this section, you'll enable navigation to the hero detail component and liberate it. We're liberating heroes, guys. This is amazing. We'll liberate it from the heroes component. Delete hero details from heroes component. So when the user clicks a hero item in the heroes component, the application should navigate to the hero detail component, replacing the heroes list view with the hero detail view. And the heroes list view should no longer show hero details as it does now. Open the heroes component template and delete the app hero detail element from the bottom. So switching into VS Code, which you guys can see now, and I'm just gonna close a bunch of these tabs because I don't like having 100 tabs open. I'm gonna go to the hero detail component, the HTML file, right? No, what did it ask me to do? It asked me to go to, yeah, hero detail component. What? Oh, not hero detail, sorry. Go to hero component, hero component HTML, this guy. And then I'm just gonna jump down and delete that. And that had me worried. I thought I checked with the wrong version for a second there. Open the hero component template, delete that at the bottom. And so now clicking a hero item will do nothing, right? So if I go to that heroes list again, this doesn't show. Remember we have that details section down here? I'm gonna bring that back just in case you don't remember. If I click somebody, it does this, right? So the whole point of this is we're taking this chunk here and we're gonna put that onto its own page. We're gonna register it to a route. So we'll delete that again, go back, and that functionality is now gone. Go over here, and it says we will fix that shortly after we enable routing to the hero detail component. Add a hero detail route. So a URL like /detail/11 would be a good URL for navigating to the hero detail view of the hero whose ID is 11. open app routing module and import hero detail component. So I am going to just copy that. I'm going to go into VS Code and I'm going to open up the app module. No, sorry, the app routing module. And we're just going to paste our imports. Now we got our hero detail component. And as you can probably imagine, the tutorial will tell us to, let's see if I copy that, create a new path, right? It would be like slash detail. Well, I don't think you're supposed to start with the slash, remember? And then like some ID is going to go here. And then instead of registering our dashboard component, we're going to register a hero detail component. And once you have this wired up, you should have a route called detail/11, but nothing shows up yet because remember our the way our hero detail component works is we used to have that onSelect method on the heroes list, which would grab an ID, say like ID 11, and actually pass that into our hero detail component. But now I'm just navigating to it directly like this, and there's no way for that. That ID is just not getting passed into the component. We can open that up really quick, and let's go hero detail component. So basically, hero just doesn't exist, and we're protecting ourselves against hero being undefined because we have this ng if. And so remember, this doesn't render. This basically just doesn't exist if hero doesn't get passed in. So when we come to this page, there's just nothing to render. So we go back to the tutorial. It wants us to add a parameterized route to the routes array that matches the path pattern to the hero detail view below. And that looks like this. So you can see this is some new, a new concept we haven't come across yet. That colon ID. So the colon in the path indicates that ID colon ID is a placeholder for a specific hero ID. So if you've worked in Express, you've probably seen this before. At this point, all application routes are in place, and so I should probably grab sorry, I should update this. This was just an example, and so I think it's worth maybe showing. Just I was kind of tinkering around in the video before. Now it just doesn't feel authentic. I just already did this, but so like /12 is not a route, right? 11 is a route, but 12 is not. So I guess what would you expect to happen there? Angular, it seems, handles this case and it just redirects us to the root of our application. So what I thought is that we would actually get redirected to dashboard. But it doesn't seem to be the case. And before, when I recorded this, I came across this. I was like, oh, this is a different order than I registered these routes. So I thought maybe if I take that fallback route here, remember we basically have it set up where if you try to go, let me demonstrate that real quick in case you forgot. If you try to visit this, if I go to localhost 4200 and hit enter, it's going to redirect me to dashboard. But for whatever reason, if I put in a route that doesn't exist, so if I said, whoops, don't do that. If I did gibberish, I just end up at / not /dashboard. I don't really know why. I thought maybe order mattered here for these like fallbacks. So maybe it had to be here. Although this doesn't work. So if I go gibberish, I still end up in a place where I don't expect to be. Then if I actually put this at the bottom, and we just do another route that doesn't exist. So order doesn't seem to matter. Maybe there's probably another way to detect that like a route doesn't exist and then add some rules around that. I'm just, for the sake of following along with the tutorial properly, I'm going to put this at the top here. Although it doesn't seem to matter where it goes. At least not for the routes that we have defined so far. Usually when you're defining routes, when you have a lot of routes with the same name, although I guess this is usually a backend issue. I don't know if this happens so much in client side, but if you have similar routes, but maybe they take different parameters, order can matter, but usually that's with HTTP methods. So probably don't listen to what I'm saying because none of that even made any sense. Let's move on. So dashboard, component, hero, links. The dashboard component hero links do nothing at the moment. Now that the router has a route to hero detail component, fix the dashboard hero links to navigate to using the parameterized dashboard route. So here we have like an ng4 that's grabbing those 4 heroes, but they are not links yet. So we're gonna make them links by using that router link directive, which we learned about in the previous episode. And the router link is going to point to /detail, and then we're going to interpolate our hero ID into here. And so I'm going to copy that. I'm going to switch over into our editor, and I'm going to go to the dashboard component. This one. And I'm just going to replace this. I'm going to replace this with that. And that looks good to me. So if I go over into our app here, I should be able to click. You'll see, you guys can't actually see. When I hover over it, I can see the route, but you guys can't. That's okay. I click it. It does nothing. Why does it do nothing? I expected it to do something. Router link /detail. Hero ID, and did we register our route? Maybe this has to be, does it have to be a slash? No, that broke it. Let me do that. Let me just double check. I did register the route properly, right? Detail / did I do colon? Oh, I forgot to update the route. Oh man. ID, here we go. It's been a long night. Okay, so that should be working now. If I click here, it takes me to /12. Again, it's not loading the hero yet because we haven't updated the component to actually use the ID in this route. So we're gonna do that soon. So now that the router has a route to hero, we're here. You're using Angular interpolation binding within the ng4 repeater to insert the current iteration's hero ID into each router link. By interpolation binding, it's referring to this part. And so we do that, and then heroes component hero links. The hero items in the heroes component are li elements whose click events are bound to the component's onSelect method. So we remember doing that in an earlier episode. Setting up the dynamic class binding. What did we call that again? If I go over to the glossary of terms, good to just review this stuff sometimes. The actual terminology was class. Yeah, it was class binding. I think I had that right. And then we set up our event binding. So it's kind of like a click listener, and then onSelect is like our click handler, which is defined in our component class file. But we are going to change this in a second. So we're going to strip the li back to just its ng4, wrap the badge and name in an anchor element, and add a router link attribute to the anchor that is the same as in the dashboard template. So basically we're doing away with the whole onSelect thing, because now when we click it, we're just going to navigate to a new page. So there's a bunch of code that is we're going to be able to delete, because we're not going to need the onSelected method, which actually also means we don't need the styles for selecting a thing anymore, right? And we'll break, will we? No, not sure. That's fine. Let's go into VS Code. I'm going to close a couple things. That was on the hero components HTML, which is this one. So I'm just going to replace all of that. And now each hero is actually, instead of just a name, it's actually a link. an anchor tag with a router link attribute that points to this, just like we did on the dashboard page. So if I switch over here to the Tours of Hero app and we go, oh yeah, you know what? I want to fix that. That is annoying. Let me go, that would be on our app component, right? App component HTML. Right here. Just gonna do it the really lazy way and just add a non-breaking space character. And now we get this. So from dashboard, I can click to get to a hero detail page. Still don't show the hero yet. Then I can go to the list, which the style has changed a little bit, but that's gonna get fixed later, don't worry. Now I can click a hero from here now, and I can also land on a detail page. So maybe that's a commit, right? Move. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna hold off because I'm gonna include kind of cleaning up as part of that commit too. So let's go back here. And it says what, you'll have to fix the private style sheet to make this list look as it did before. Revised style sheets are in the final code review at the bottom of this guide. I'm just gonna open up that as a new tab. And we'll go all over here, grab this CSS. We're not going to bother reviewing it because the point of this is not to learn CSS. I'm just going to close a bunch of that stuff, and we can go to the, what was it, hero component CSS, right? And just select all that, replace it, go back into our app, take a quick look at the heroes page, and see the styling got fixed, which is perfect. Also, I did remember, somebody actually mentioned, or rather asked, what note taking app I've been using on these, I don't want to call them tutorials, these videos. It doesn't normally look like this. I got it all kind of cropped in, so it looks nice for the video, but this is actually a tool called Notion. So if you go to notion.so, you'll find the page here. This app is awesome. I use this every single day for work, for all the projects I'm on, for personal note taking, for organizing these videos. There's not a ton of organization in these videos, but my other videos where I put a lot more effort into them, I use Notion for everything. It's like a relational database for your notes. It's awesome. But anyway, I'm gonna close that. We don't need that tab open anymore. Let's go on. So remove dead code. This is optional, but I'm going to do it anyway. While the hero component class still works, the onSelect method and the selected hero property are no longer used. It's nice to tidy up, and you'll be grateful to yourself later. I agree completely. Leaving dead code is definitely a code smell. It is, I think there's actually an official name for it. I think it's called lava flow. Lava flow. Code smell. In computer programming jargon, lava flow is a problem in which computer code written under suboptimal conditions is put into production and added while it's still in a... maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Oh no. Yeah, no, lava flow is a term. So yeah, it refers to basically dead code. So what ends up happening, you leave code behind, and you might remember that code might not be being used, but a couple months later, when you're not on the project and somebody else is on it, or years later, people they don't know what it does, and maybe it's a legacy system that's not tested very well, and they just leave it because they don't know if it's safe to take out. So and it grows over time like a lava flow. Anyway, getting distracted. Let's focus. We can delete some code. It's a good idea. If we go to our heroes component, class, hero component TS, this guy, we don't need this method anymore. It can go away. And also selected hero can go away because we're not going to be using that anymore. And now I'm going to make sure that this isn't broken first, but that is a good spot to make a commit. So we can still go to our dashboard, our messages working and everything. I can navigate over here from there. I can go back here and I can navigate from here to there. It's starting to sound like a Dr. Seuss book. Let's make a commit. So what do we do? Move hero details into its own route. Its own route. Own parameterized route. Yeah, let's go back to the tutorial. So we cleaned it up, and now we're going to do the Routable hero detail component. So previously, the parent heroes component set the hero detail component.hero property, and the hero detail component displayed the hero. Heroes component doesn't do that anymore. Now the router creates the hero detail component in response to a URL such as detail/11. The hero detail component needs a new way to obtain the hero to display. This section explains the following: how to get the route that created it, extract the ID from the route, acquire the hero with that ID from the server using the hero service. And remember, we're using the term server, but really we just mean that static mock file that we created a while ago. So add the following imports. We are importing something called activated route from Angular Router. So that's a new thing we haven't seen before. And then something called location from Angular Common. And then we're importing the hero service that we created. So I'm going to copy that. It wants us to add that to the hero detail component. So let's switch on over here. Just go hero detail component TS, which is this guy. And we can just drop that in here. Okay, let's go back to the tutorial. Inject the activated route, hero service, and location services into the constructor, saving their values in private fields. And so I'm just going to copy that, and I'm going to go back into here and go into our constructor and paste. Whoa, I didn't want to do that. I just want to copy only. Oh, whatever. I guess it's fine. So we got our stuff imported. Remember, the dependency injection system is handling like newing up or instantiating these things and passing it into our component, and then doing private here is kind of like shorthand for making these properties on the class, so that you don't have to define them like out here in the outer lexical scope if you wanted to be semantically correct about your wordage. All right. The activated route holds information about the route to this instance of the hero detail component. This component is interested in the route's parameters extracted from the URL. The ID parameter is the ID of the hero to display. The hero service gets hero data from the remote server, and this component will use it to get the hero to display. The location is an Angular service for interacting with the browser. You'll use it later to navigate back to the view navigate back to the view, then navigated here. So extract the ID route parameter is our next step. And using the ng on init lifecycle hook, we're going to make a call to get hero. And we're going to define get hero as follows. So here's our lifecycle hook. We're going to have a method on our class called get hero. Pretty straightforward. Now here is our get hero thing. So it is a function that returns void. We got our ID, and it's going to equal our so we got this thing called route that we brought in, right? Comes from our constructor. And apparently that has something called a snapshot, which then has a parameter map or param map, which apparently you can call get, which is a function that takes a string, which assumably it has to match the string of a thing that's like a defined parameter in your route. So in our case, that would be this. It would have to match this here, ID. And then number, and I actually didn't know this until literally like the video that I recorded that I can't post because guys can't see my code editor, but This is actually like just a built-in thing in JavaScript. So if you want to cast a string to a number, there's a built-in number function. Look at this. So URL parameters, when they come in, they're actually strings. So if I had a string version of 11, I can call number and it actually casts that into a number for me, which is really cool because we're like doing TypeScript and stuff, and we want to, our get hero takes a number, not a string, and so that's why I want to cast it. So then we call this .hero service get hero, which is a method that we haven't made yet. It's going to take an ID and presumably make a call out to some like remote server or whatever. In our case, it's actually just a file that exports an array of heroes, and then that is going to return a observable, which you can kind of think of a promise, not really a promise. It's different. We call subscribe, and we're just going to grab a hero out of the callback function that we pass to subscribe and just set it to the hero property on this component. So I'm going to grab all of this, just copy it, head on over to our hero detail component, and I'm just going to replace the scaffolded ng on init with our ng on init. And you can see we don't have get hero on the hero service yet. I'm going to fix that in just a second. So the route.snapshot is a static image of the route information shortly after the component was created. The param map is a dictionary of route parameter values extracted from the URL. The ID key returns the ID of the hero to fetch. So if this is compiling, and it's not because we got a syntax error right here, we actually can maybe even console log some of this stuff just to see what it looks like. So console log, what would we call it? You know, sometimes this stuff's not helpful because I'm trying to read this and the help is in the way. All right, route. This route.snapshot. Just want to see what that looks like. Actually, I want to see what the whole route object looks like. This thing's interesting. Let's do a little exploring here. So if I go open up the console and go to heroes, activated route tells you what component it is. It's got this data thing on it, or there's all sorts of stuff on here. Has error. There's an array of observers. This thing called a fragment. Params, which actually has our ID 13, but I guess we're supposed to use the snapshot, which is apparently what this route looked like at the moment this component was created. We also have params here. There's also a param map. Which is, yeah, I guess that's your object that has like a get method on it. Cool stuff. All right, enough messing around. Let's move on. So route parameters are always strings. The JavaScript number function converts the string to a number, which is what a hero ID should be. The browser refreshes and the application crashes with a compiler error, which ours is not right now because I was bad and I commented out some code that I wasn't supposed to. But now it is crashing with a compiler error, and probably don't need to leave that console log in there. So let's remove that and move on. So yeah, it crashes because our hero service doesn't have a get hero method. Add it now. Add a hero service.getHero. So open hero service and add the following get hero method with the ID after the get heroes method. So let's look at this stuff. I'm not going to type all of this out. I'm going to copy it, but we're going to read it through. So we're going to add a method called get hero. It's going to take an ID of type number, and it's going to return an observable of type hero. It says here, for now, assume that a hero with the specified ID always exists. Error handling will be added in the next step of the tutorial. Good to know. So we're declaring a const hero, and we're getting that hero from our heroes array. Just in case you don't remember, because we did set up that a long time ago. But if you go mock heroes, it's in source/app. Remember, we just set up this constant called heroes, and we just hard coded all these hero objects in here. That's where that's coming from. And then we're calling find, and basically if the hero ID is equal to the ID that's coming in as the argument to our method, if those match, that means we found a hero and we can return it. This thing we're going to talk about in just a second. After we get our hero, we got this message service add. So that's just pushing a message and just saying like what the ID of the hero is to be fetched, and then we're returning of a hero, which is an RxJS thing, which I'm still RxJS of emits a variable amount of values in a sequence and then emits a complete notification. I mean, that's just clear as mud. So the thing is, RxJS is like, it's really cool. I've seen it be extremely valuable before. But all the definitions I find are they just don't make sense to me ever. But where RxJS is really good is actually for streams of data. And what I mean by that is when you have so much data that you probably can't actually pull that into memory on the machine that you're loading that data from. So think of like compiling reports from like maybe multiple tables in a database, or maybe even multiple databases or multiple services or whatever. You just have all this data coming from a place that potentially is just millions and millions of records, and you need to do some sort of processing on that. You're not going to pull this stuff into memory because the computer probably just can't handle it. So you want to do processing on the fly as that data is coming in, and RxJS is actually really awesome for those kinds of scenarios. But you're doing something super simple like returning a response from a very basic API call that's returning like 4 things. It's probably a little overkill. What I think my understanding of is that it basically is, it turns stuff into unobservable so you can subscribe on it. And I think basically what it's doing is when you call subscribe, because it was made with I might have this wrong, by the way. So if you understand this stuff better, please let me know. I always want to learn. So, but my understanding is it's emitting just one value. So it's like one shot. So all of this stuff, when you call subscribe on it, will just be returned to you. So like in our case over here, when we call subscribe on this, because we're oving our hero, it will make sure that it just returns all of whatever that data is, which in our case is just this single hero. But in our get heroes method, it would be all of our heroes. Hopefully that made sense to some people. Obviously I don't totally make sense of all of this yet, but that's how I make sense of it for now. It seems to allow me to build things and make them work, so I must understand it well enough. We're gonna go to that service class now. So let's go hero service.ts and go right here. I'm just gonna paste that method in. And so by now, if I actually go back to the hero component file here, we don't have that syntax error anymore. If I go back to the True Heroes app, we don't have our compilation error. And things should be working, right? This is what we were looking for. So our route is detail/11. We know that ID 11 is Dr. Nice, and if I click Dr. Nice, those are the details that I see. And I can go here, right? Marco is 12. Bombasto is 13. So this is working, and I can do this from the dashboard as well. I can get to a hero details from there. So that's all working now. And I did say I was going to talk about this exclamation mark in a minute. So I spent a bit of time in the video that I recorded that is lost, the lost video, as we shall refer to it from this day forth. Whoa, where's my service? My service is here. I don't know what this does. I can presume what it does, which is if you look at find, wow, TypeScript is just amazing sometimes with how clear the anything that it gives you. But if I go here, this is basically what's important, is that find can return a hero, or it could be undefined, because if it doesn't find it, it's undefined. So if you look here though, TypeScript is telling us that hero can only be hero. It can't be any other type. And that's happening because of this exclamation mark. If I remove that, this becomes a syntax error because you can't call you can't return undefined, because we're saying that this is observable of hero. I could technically do this if I wanted to, but then this comes, oh wait, maybe you can't do that. But if you could do that, that'd still be a problem, because then I'd have to handle it up higher in the chain. So this makes it so that it guarantees it's not undefined, and I don't really understand why. I haven't seen that syntax before. So if you know what that's doing, and why, please let me know. I want to know. All right. So that is, and let's see, they got a note here. Backticks is for JavaScript template literals, just in case you didn't know. I think we probably said that in an earlier video, but that backtick and this backtick just means that this from here to here is a string, except for the dollar squiggly part is saying take whatever the value of that variable here is and replace this with that value. That's what that means. So let's see, like get hero has a asynchronous signature. It returns a mock hero as an observable using the RxJS of function. And you'll be able to re-implement get hero as a real HTTP request without having to change the hero detail component that calls it. And we've talked about that before in past videos. The whole point of using that hero service was so that if you change where you get your hero data from, the rest of your app doesn't have to get updated, which is super cool. And that wants us to try it, and we already tried it, so let's not worry about that. The next section is going to be find the way back, but I'm going to make a commit first. So let's go over here. We got our hero service, which we need to get hero. We got this stuff. So this is basically making it so that we can navigate. So we'll just say update hero component to use URL param. It's basically what we're doing. Let me close that and make some room in here. All right, so find the way back. By clicking the browser's back button, you can go back to the hero list or dashboard view, depending upon which sent you to the detailed view. It would be nice to have a button on the hero detailed view that can do that. So add a go back button to the bottom of the component template and bind it to the component's go back method. So we're gonna grab this button, which has a click event binding, which is setting it to this go back event handler, which we haven't created yet, but we'll probably create that in just a second. So I'm gonna go to the hero detail component, HTML, open that up, and we're gonna just drop that. Where did it want me to drop it? In the bottom. And just an interesting thing to note here. It's kind of cool with so with React and Vue, if you didn't know, you need to define a root element anytime you have a component like this. Although React has, what do they call it? Fragments. There's like a nice fragment syntax or something. So that I'm not explaining this right. If this was Vue or React, you used to have to do, or you still have to do this. Right? right? There needs to be like a root element. You can't just have sibling elements like this. There has to be something that they're wrapped inside of. React added something called fragments, and the shorthand syntax looks like this. And that just means that the div doesn't actually get added to your DOM, because that's like the biggest pain of having to wrap that root node, especially if you're using third-party libraries. It like just breaks styles all over your app. Looks like Angular just does away with that requirement altogether, which is really cool. So we are going to add this go back method, presumably in the next step here. So add a go back method to the component class that navigates backward one step in the browser's history stack using the location service that you injected previously. So I'm going to grab this guy, which calls the back method on this location API that we brought in. And that's going to be on the hero detail component TS file. And that's going to go, I don't think it matters where it goes as long as it's in the class. We'll just put it here. And let's see. So now we have this button here. And if I click that, it'll take me to wherever the page was that I was on before I navigated to it. So if I go to a hero from dashboard and I click back, I go to dashboard. If I go to hero and I go to if I go to heroes list, then I go to a hero detail, I click go back, go to heroes. So from dashboard, go back to dashboard. From hero list, go back to hero list. Amazing. So moving on, refresh the browser and start clicking. Users can navigate around the app from the dashboard to hero details and back, from heroes list to the menu detail to the hero details and back to the heroes again. Amazing. The details will look better when you add the private CSS styles to hero detail component. CSS is listed in one of the final code review tabs below, which is right here. So we're basically at the end of this whole thing. And so here we have, they changed it up in this section because the other ones, all the files would just be grouped together. But this one, there's just so many changes because it's such a big section. It's nice they broke these up, kind of organized everything. I really like that they show this at the end of every tutorial. But let me go. No, not dashboard. Sorry, what was it? Hero detail component.css. So I want this one. We're gonna go over here, and I'm gonna go hero detail component CSS. Paste that in. Go over into the app, and if I go to the hero detail, wow, that looks amazing. It doesn't actually look that much better, but I don't know why ID is a different color than hero name. But it is, and that's fine. This app, obviously, the goal of this is not to look super pretty, but maybe just pretty enough that it doesn't look like plain HTML. I make fun of this, but like honestly, this is actually a really good tutorial. It's actually put together really well. It's written really well. It covers, I mean, so far at this point, like, I just feel like this has been a really good introduction to the feature set that Angular has without, I don't know. It's just an interesting app. It was a good thing. It was a good idea that they had. It has enough routing and things to just demonstrate a lot of different concepts and pull things together. I honestly actually think this tutorial is really good. Like you don't see this on the Vue doc site or the React doc site, or like most frameworks don't have tutorials this good. So good job, Angular peeps and other. Actually, I guess this thing's open source. This is probably not just. I'm sure lots of people in the community have helped with this. So good job. Yeah, let's summarize this. So this is actually, what is this? This is three videos of work. Like this section was bigger than the dependency injection section. Who'd have thought routing would be so complicated? But I guess it's not that complicated. There's just a lot of pieces involved. So let's summarize. And you added the Angular router to navigate among different components. we turn the app component into a navigation shell with a links, add the router outlet. I'm just to review, in case you forgot, because it's a couple of videos ago now. If we go into our app component HTML, remember we added router outlet right here, which is basically working like a slot. If you're familiar with that term from other frameworks, I don't think Angular calls them slots, but essentially what we're saying is, like, whatever component is registered with the router, the router is going to figure out what component should be shown based on what's in your route, and it's going to inject the template right here. So that's why our navigation and title is consistent across every single page, and also every single page has our app messages. And just, it also, remember, like, app component is special out of all these components, because if we go to app module, like, we have all these components are declared within the same module, which is why these components are available when you're inside app component. But also app component is actually like our bootstrap component, which just means that this is being loaded sort of by default, which makes it available no matter where you are in your application, as long as this module is loaded, I guess I would assume. And that's what makes it available in our index.html, I'm pretty sure, right? So this is like the entry point to our application, this app route. The reason app component is called app route, just in case you forgot, is because in app component, we say that it's called app route by setting it here in the selector. So yeah, that was router outlet. That's kind of, it's interesting with routing. You really have to kind of know how your app starts, because routing touches everything, and it's this, you gotta start from where everything gets bootstrapped and where the router gets loaded, and then where all the views get injected. So hopefully that helped your mental model of how all this fits together. Running through that helped me. So then we configured the router in the app routing module, right? So that was another important thing to learn about, was the routing module, which we were supposed to scaffold with the CLI tool, but we didn't, because well, I guess technically we did. We just scaffolded it when we built the project initially, but the tutorial didn't want us to do that. But either way, we got it in here, and the module is where you register all of your routes. And then I believe this was something related to the fact that this is like the root of our project. I'm not sure if I'm 100% clear on that, but I know after that we have to export the router module, because that's what allows us to import that later inside app module, which is what's bootstrapping app component, right? But this is where we import app routing module, which is what gives us the ability to do this here inside our root app component. And then we define some routes, a redirect route and a parameterized routes. We kind of covered all the different types of routes that you can make, other than maybe dynamic routes if Angular supports that. And then we use the router link directive and anchor elements. So basically we just learned how links work in Angular. You make an A tag and you put this router link attribute, which is a directive, and you set it to some URL in your app. And as long as that URL is registered as a route, it'll do its thing. And then we refactored a tightly coupled master detail view. They're just referring to that hero list. We used to have the hero list and hero details on the same page, but we refactored that out so that detail actually is a routed detail view now. And then we used router link parameters to navigate to that detailed view of a user selected hero. And then we shared the hero service among multiple components, which was cool too, because the whole point of that hero service was that we were going to need heroes in multiple places in our application. And the fact that we get them through this service now means if we ever refactor the way we get heroes, right? Maybe we don't want to get it from that static file. Maybe we want to actually call out to a server. We don't have to update everything in our application. We just change how hero service gets heroes and everything else stays the same. So that's it. We made it. You guys were able to see my code editor this time. It's been a night. Anyway, that is the end of the video. If you guys liked it, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to see more, I would love it if you subscribed. Feel free to follow me on Twitter. I post updates about the stuff that I'm working on there all the time, as well as other random things. And sometimes I try to make sure I'm posting dev tips every once in a while too. And sometimes I stream on Twitch under the original Fletch. And if you can't find me there, I might be streaming on Twitch at my work Twitch account, which is Vehicle Team, which is pretty sweet setup for me. I get paid to stream on Twitch every once in a while. And that's everything. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. All right, bye.